Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I apologize for this video going up on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. I'm still figuring out what my new posting schedule needs to be with my current bar schedule. I'm thinking I might try and go back to Monday, Thursday, but it might end up shifting to Tuesday, Friday. I don't know, but I can guarantee you that I will keep doing 2 videos a week at the minimum, hoping to get it back up to 3 as soon as I figure everything out. I did just open a bar, so it's a little chaotic. Things are very up in the air with like when I'm working and how many days I need to be there. So that's the reason my schedule has been a little weird, but hoping to get it back on track as soon as possible. However, today we are going to be talking about the Elric Undoing by Cassandra Celia. I got this in a recent a recent Twisted Retreat book box. So it is one of their beautiful, beautiful editions. I absolutely adore how beautiful and stunning this book is. So much attention to detail went into everything. You have these beautiful stenciled edges, this kind of ghostly figure hidden in the pages. We have a lantern and some moths and this little kitty cat overlooking the manor. These are all very important factors of the book. And again, we have the lantern and the cat here. We also have an interior of the Elric Manor on the inside of the dust jacket. These beautiful interior pages. Just everything about this edition was beautiful, and it is a signed copy. Now, Cassandra Celia is one of these authors that I actually discovered through getting Twisted Retreat. Earlier, about like, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or so, I read Sugarcane by Cassandra Celia. This is a very interesting, extreme horror novel through a very strange kind of Stockholm Syndrome feminist point of view. It's very, very strange. It's really interesting. It has a very, very scary and brutal ending, handled in a way that I was really impressed with. And yes, it does have a lot of like extreme horror themes to it, which is what I was expecting was going to be in this one when I realized it was Cassandra Celia and I read that there was a content warning in the book. Unfortunately, this felt like a completely different author wrote this. And I am really, really confused in the tonal shift from Sugarcane to the Elric Undoing. Granted, Sugarcane is more of a novella, and this is a much, much longer offering. It's over 250 pages long. I'm going to read the inside flap, and then we're going to dive into this. So it says, Piet Cabello never expected her life to change with the arrival of one letter, sent by her estranged, deceased grandmother. But when her mother immediately threatens her life at the very mention of the letter's contents, Piet flees the home she'd been trapped in, escaping her mother's proclaimed demise, and into the teeth of the mysterious town of Elric to claim her inheritance. When she arrives, Piet is suddenly thrust into an occult world with residents who share a history flushed with dark magic and who worship a mysterious leader. And of course, a manor haunted by ghosts that demands she leave immediately. In search of a family she felt like she never had, Piet is determined to uncover the truth about the town that scared her mother so deeply and stole her grandmother away all those years ago. Drawn to its darkest past, Piet's intrigue won't let her leave, and Elric doesn't want to let her go either. Before she realizes it, Piet is enveloped in the town's customs and rituals disguised as friendships, and the longer she stays, the less interested she becomes in uncovering Elric's secrets after all. The town Piet's mother fled from long ago might be the place where Piet finds the home she's been searching for. Unfortunately, it might also be her undoing. Cool. I wish I read that book. I wish I did. This book suffers pretty significantly from this concept of telling, not showing. And that's something that's very jarring to me because I felt like in Sugarcane, a lot of what was happening in that novel was kind of happening off the page. There was a lot of implications, there was a lot of what ifs, there was a lot of places for your mind to wander and imagine what was happening. This book, we pretty much lost almost all of the action, and we're basically just told how to feel about every single scene. I find Piet to be an extremely unlikable, annoying, naive character. I don't think Cassandra Celia understood what that character was supposed to be. Literally, I found her contradicting herself every few paragraphs, where she would have this like stance of bravery and then all of a sudden be this coward and then all of a sudden be extremely offended that somebody would think she was a coward and then go back to feigning bravery and then suddenly be a coward again. It was just this weird introspective into Pyatt's mind that I don't think was ever fully fleshed out. And she kept saying things like, oh, this town is so alluring and the people are so intriguing and I don't quite understand, but I'm slowly getting sucked in. But then never showed any of that. We never really saw the town of Elric. We just saw Pyatt thinking about the town of Elric. We met very few characters, and the ones that we did, Pyatt got in her mind were her close alliances, or her friends, or her confidants, and yet we never saw that happen. The only character that we really see, apart from Matilda, who was kind of a side character who becomes a main character later on, is Winona. And Winona is pretty static the entire time, just kind of a bitch. And Pyatt is just like, oh my god, is this my new best friend? She treats me terribly, but like, I feel bad because like we should be friends. And it makes no sense to me because there's just so much disdain from the beginning with Winona. And Pyatt is just so naive. And in the context of who Pyatt is and where she came from and the abusive relationship she has with her mother she's trying to escape, I understand that that naivety could be there, but you need to show it. And it really isn't shown. She's so quick to anger and so quick to forgiveness and so easily manipulated and just really stupid. And you have this great opening sequence where we get this flashback as to what led Pyatt to her situation and why she's so eager to run away to this mysterious town that we literally never really see at all in the novel. We really see like a coffee shop, a library, an occult shop, and a mansion, and all of those we really see like once. We get like no in-depth layout of what the town feels like, the atmosphere, the townspeople. We're all just told like this is how Pyatt thinks about that. And so we have this opening sequence, it's very bizarre, all about Pyatt and her relationship with her mom, and it kind of fades to black after this kind of crescendo moment. And then we find out very early on, and this isn't really a spoiler because you're told this in the first couple chapters, that after that sequence ends, Pyatt's mom, like, tried to kill her. And then that's just glossed over for, like, the entire rest of the novel. There's, like, no trauma, there's no redemption, there's no returning to that story. It's just like, yeah, that happened. And the whole novel, I was like, are we glossing over this because we're going to find out that because it wasn't shown on the page, there wasn't like a description about it, that it didn't happen and it was in Pyatt's head the whole time, and that's going to be the twist, is that she's just crazy and her mom was like right about everything that she said at the beginning of the book, and it was just like it didn't even need to happen. There's plot holes. There's so many plot holes in this novel. There's this whole concept of like mothers needing to sacrifice their second born to allow a firstborn child to succeed. And this is kind of a theme that's hinted out throughout. And yet there's just characters with siblings that like in theory shouldn't be there. There's mysterious figures that like appear, are very helpful, and then like never come back again, and like we have no idea why they were there. There's like the touchings on of a really interesting mythology and cult attached to a strange kind of Greek folklore deity thing. I don't know. And it's all very much interesting in concept, and yet the execution and explanation is never there. Like, we really learn nothing. But instead, we have paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of Pyatt just, like, thinking to herself. And, like, saying the same thing literally over and over and over and over and over and over. There's, like, no growth for this character. And the ending has, like, maybe one page of, like, in theme would be considered extreme horror. The way it's written is, like, so tame. And it just kind of is there, and you're like, oh, well, that was brutal and gross, and that happened. But you just don't care, because by that point, you just hate every single character, so bad things happen to them, you're just like, huh, okay then. There's like this big twist at the ending, and I'm just not even sure what happened or what it meant or why. it happened because the folklore behind this, like, weird town that's so alienated from the rest of the world just is never explained. I don't understand at all why our main character feels so compelled to stay in this town, because the book doesn't show it. But it loves just telling you exactly what the reader should be inferring. You know, it'll show this, like, weird suspicious scene or the suspicious character, and instead of just kind of leaving it at that, it's like, Pyatt was very suspicious. She knew that maybe this person couldn't be trusted, and however, something made her want to trust her. She didn't know what it was because she felt that she was untrustworthy, and yet she was going to give her trust to see if it would become worthwhile, because then maybe Pyatt would have a friend. And Pyatt has always wanted a friend. She's been so alone her whole life and in this awful relationship with her mother, who really was the only person she could ever confide in, and yet she left her now and now feels alone. Again, a feeling that she has been having since the very beginning of her life, when her mother took her ability to socialize away. And so she will trust somebody who is untrustworthy because she needs a friend. Does that make her a bad person? I don't know. I don't think she's a bad person. Let me tell you, I don't think Pyatt's a bad person, and neither should you. That is literally how this book is written. For 250 pages. And I wanted to, like, pull my hair out. And there's, like, a subline with, like, a horse, a statue, and, like, a religious figurehead of a church who, like, rises to power for who knows why. And there's a cult, and there's Greek mythology, and there's so many typos in the Greek mythology that I was, like, really confused. Like, the town of Argos has an S at the end. And depending on what page you're on in this book, sometimes the S is not there. Argo is a movie with Ben Affleck. Argos is a Greek town. So yeah, I really hated this novel. And I'm so bummed because I really liked Sugarcane. This was a 2-star read for me, because to get a 1-star read for me, I have to be offended by the book. And it's very, very difficult for me to give out a 1-star. I usually give maybe 1 or 2 a year, if that. I don't even know if I gave one out in 2024. So this is a 2-star for me. I truly disliked this book. And I don't even want to go into spoilers because it's just not even worth it, because the twists and turns don't matter. Our main character doesn't really matter because there's no story to be told. There's no moral lesson. There's no value. There's no commentary. And I don't want to say that this book doesn't have value, because this is an author trying, and she's an independent author, and I think this might be her debut, like, long-form release. But I think Cassandra Celia is much more effective writing short form. And I will say that end where it kind of climaxes to this kind of twisty, turny, brutal, extreme moment is interesting, and it was the one part of the novel where all of a sudden I, like, checked back in. You know, the opening sequence and the final sequence, I understood that Cassandra Celia probably wrote those two things and was like, how do I get from A to B? But everything in between just was way overwritten. It really needed an editor with a much cleaner eye. And I felt like the bare bones of this book had a really cool concept, but the execution was just all over the place. And she just kept highlighting moments and storylines and concepts that were completely uninteresting to kind of give this introspective into a character that I had no reason to care about, instead of playing up this amazingly crafted kind of cult concept tied in with Greek folklore and witchcraft and people who cannot be trusted and weird, like, small town rituals and all of these really interesting ideas, and there were a ton of them just thrown off to the side and not developed and just kind of, like, touched upon to say, like, I have this notion and I think it's a cool thing to do, and I want to mark down that I've thought it, and then I'm going to pursue it in absolutely the laziest fashion, and then just kind of give you, again, this inside look on a female lead who has really nothing tangible to offer the reader. I honestly think that if the story was told through the eyes of Winona, who is probably the most interesting character of them all, we could have had something much cleaner, much more interesting. And being told through the eyes of kind of this, like, reasonably jealous, scorned woman, with the context of this story, I think would have made this book much, much, much better. So those are my like 10 cents on this novel. Again, if you love this book, awesome. I'm so happy to see that. I was really excited about it. I do think Cassandra Celia has a lot of potential, but I think extreme horror and short form horror might be a better outlet for her. Anyhow, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I try to post every Monday and Thursday. Right now, it's probably Tuesdays and Fridays. And if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you on the next one. Mwah.